I think that they need to assign as a Biden whisperer, somebody that can figure out what he's saying. I mean, you might as well be trying to figure out what the dog's saying when they're barking at you at this particular point. You know, this is a sad, desperate attempt to spin the reality of what's actually happening here and to try to get the American people to stop asking the question that they're asking now is what's wrong with this man, right? I mean, there is visibly something wrong with him. They can try to spin the last few days or weeks as much as they want, but
Okay, so that was Ronnie Jackson, or as Trump likes to call him, Ronnie Johnson, still trying to put the Fox News spin on things that Joe Biden is in decline and that he's too old and therefore he's unfit to serve. Folks, they are doubling and quadrupling down on this narrative because they have Donald Trump unhinged talking into a live microphone every day. And they're always having to go to bat and make excuses for him being unhinged. It has been so ridiculous watching them go to bat. And I can't imagine you're sitting there and someone says to you, hey, you know, Trump's out there talking about Hannibal Lecter, and you have to figure out how to put a spin on it. But Fox News did. Take a look at this.
People are talking about how Trump's losing it. Trump's kidding around. He's having fun. He's kicking about talking about Hannibal Lecter. He's looking in the audience. He's playing around. And now people are going, Trump is losing it.
Folks, all I can say on that one is they have to be paying him a lot of money. When you sit and listen to a guy ramble on about Hannibal Lecter and then you just go out and say that he was having fun with it, I guess just enjoy the paycheck, pal. That's all I can say. But getting back to them trying to paint this narrative that Joe Biden is too old, they have been releasing so many clips and focusing in on those. He was simply sitting down in a chair and he paused at one point and they stopped it right there and froze it to make it look like that he was stuck and frozen, didn't know where he was. Then they tried to say that he was rambling off and walking off when actually he was just talking to some people who had just landed and he was walking over to talk with them out of camera shot. And now they're trying to say that he couldn't remember Secretary Mayorkas's name. And I do have a hard time saying that one. I'll go ahead and own it. But check out the clip that Fox News played and then look at the clip that really happened.
Yesterday, President Biden appeared to forget the name of his own DHS chief.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm Jill Biden's husband. Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure I'm going to introduce you all the way. But all kidding aside.
Now, President.
I'm not sure I'm going to introduce you all the way. But all kidding aside, Secretary Mayorkas, as well as.
So let's put all this together. Fox News took Donald Trump's incoherent ramblings about Hannibal Lecter and they spun that he was just having a good time. He was just poking fun and having a good time. And meanwhile, they took a clip of Joe Biden poking fun and having a good time and they doctored it to make it look as though that he forgot Secretary Mayorkas's name. That's the kind of people that we're dealing with going into this election. They're having to use doctored clips of Joe Biden to continue to spin this narrative that he's too old and he's unfit to serve. And meanwhile, we're over here with just an absolute treasure chest of clips of Donald Trump's unhinged moments where he's screaming at the teleprompter, blaming it on the equipment, saying he's not going to pay the equipment guys. He's not going to pay the sound guys. We have him going off the rails constantly, and there's nothing doctored about it. And I think that's why you're seeing them double down so hard on this narrative. And it's been the narrative ever since Joe Biden took office, because at the end of the day, that's all they got. They cannot actually debate Joe Biden on policy or getting things done because Donald Trump has no policies. He doesn't accomplish shit, hasn't accomplished shit. And so the only way that you can combat that is with this ridiculous argument that Joe Biden is too old. Donald Trump is 3 years younger, and Donald Trump's ideas are about 200 years older than Joe Biden's. And that's the point I want to make. For everyone that says Joe Biden's old, I think even Joe Biden would admit, yeah, I'm getting up there. But Joe Biden's ideas aren't old. Donald Trump's ideas have set us back 100 years. We have saw rights taken away from women. We've saw rights taken away from the gay community. We have saw rights taken away from black people. We saw affirmative action done away with. We saw so much progress get unraveled thanks to Donald Trump's presidency. So this 3-year age gap means nothing in the grand scheme of things. And yes, every president that has ever went into office has came out looking older, except Trump. But that's because his makeup artist is working overtime. Everybody else went in, and we talk about it. Hey, you know, when George W. Bush went in, he come out with a lot more gray in his hair. So did Obama. So did Clinton. It happens. But with Trump, they're continuously sitting there doing his makeup and his hair to try to make it look like he's okay. But folks, he's clearly not. If you really zero in and look at Donald Trump, he's not okay. He's becoming more and more unhinged by the moment. And I really believe that ever since he became a convicted felon, that, you know, as much as he wants to sit back and scream that it was a conflicted judge and a hoax of a trial, I think reality slapped him in the face on that one. And ever since then, he's been even more unhinged and even more off the rails. And it's really hard to watch, honestly. I have to give myself a break after watching so many of his clips. I literally just have to go outside, sit back in a chair, kick back, have a cigar, listen to some music, and go, okay, it's all going to be okay. But we have to keep calling out this madness, and we have to keep debunking these Fox News clips every time they put them out, because anytime they put them out, they're doctored. Has Joe Biden ever stuttered? Yes, he has his whole life, and he's struggled with it, and he's talked openly about it. That's something else I would like to point out. Joe Biden has talked openly about his stutter and how he worked to correct it. When have you ever heard Donald Trump talk about mistakes that and I'm not saying a stutter's a mistake, but I'm saying, when have you ever heard Donald Trump talk about things that he's worked to correct? When have you ever heard him do that? That's the guy that said he didn't see why that he should ever have to ask for forgiveness, because he's done nothing wrong. So this is ridiculous that we're even having this discussion. We should be talking about the issues at hand. We should be talking about policies. We should be talking about who got things done and who didn't. And when you put those up on the screen, Fox News, if you would take time out of your day to put what Donald Trump attempted to do, what Donald Trump promised he would do, if you would put up all the things he promised to do and never followed through with versus everything that Joe Biden has done, then you would see that the decision come November couldn't possibly be any more clear. This is the most obvious election I've ever seen. And it's also the one that we cannot blow at the end of the day. You can't set this one out. You can't stay home. You can't sit on the fence on this one. You can't vote third party. If you vote third party, you're voting for Trump. Just keep that in mind as we go forward. Dig into it. Look at what Joe Biden's accomplished and look at all the broken promises. That's what needs to be talked about from here to Election Day. The broken promises of Donald Trump versus the accomplishments of Joe Biden, not their 3-year age difference.